oh, we can have this hot guy with arms the size of my body be funny as well. That was just every woman's dream.
Okay,
Do
continue.
a push-up.
Do a push-up and tell a joke.
And tell a joke. Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah. Welcome to Dirtying the Frame podcast with my co-host, Asaad.
Am I your co-host? I feel like I got promoted. Hi, everyone.
You're my, underling. I'm the host and you're the co-host. It's not like we're co-co-hosts.
I feel like we have the kind of relationship where I can't look you in the eye.
Yes, that's exactly right. You're my assistant, is what I should call you. My assistant, Asaad.
Guys, we have a good thing planned for you today. We messed around a little while ago and dissected how me and Sarah always are listing the top 5 categories when we talk about film, whether it's actors, action movies, whatever. We did with Disney music that we absolutely love. So we thought we'd double back, right, Sarah?
Yeah, we're ready. We're coming back. We're ready to fight.
So this is another list episode where, if you're not familiar, Sarah will have a top 5 list of a specific movie category. I will make a top 5 list of that same specific movie category. Neither of us has seen each other's. And we will go down our list. If my 5 is her 3 or 2, she'll announce that, right, as we're going. We start at 5 and go through 1. And then together, it's not good enough just to argue, but together we'll have to find a collective top 5 list together to preach true harmony. Did I cover that correctly, Sarah?
Yeah, you nailed it.
Okay, cool.
And for the people who are watching on YouTube, Asaad can't actually read this board from where he's sitting, just so you know.
What does it say?
Nothing at all.
All right, it better not say some bullshit. So today, I am happy to announce that the list of top 5 today will be comedic films. How do you feel, Sarah?
I was pretty proud of my little joke with the whiteboard just now.
Okay.
I am excited. My favorite type of film to watch is a comedy or a romantic comedy or a musical. Sometimes they all align, sometimes they don't. But generally, I would say of all of those things, I'm going comedy. That's my favorite. I love to just go to a movie and forget about my tragic life. I don't know. I don't have a tragic life. I'm just kidding. And just, escape for a while. And comedy makes me so happy. I just love to laugh and have a good time. And I'm super excited to see. We have no parameters on this. From 2019 to 2022. We have no parameters. It's just our favorites, our opinions on the films that we can remember. I'm sure there's much better films that we're not remembering or that are technically better, but it's just, a personal opinion of what I like, what Asaad likes, and we're going to try and come up with a list of what we both like together. And as always, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
As always, I would love to see your top 5s. And I think we get caught up in the weeds of this too much of well, it's got to be the best comedy. Think of every comedy that's ever been made that you've ever seen. Just, what pops into your brain? What are some of the comedy movies that you like that you would have put on this list if you had a camera in front of you?
I think the important thing about comedy is that with all the categories of film, and there's a lot, comedy is where you really get to find out about a person, what comedies they like.
Oh.
They really tell you a lot about a person. And me and Sarah's upbringing, newsflash, is very different.
Very different.
So we have different sense of humor. And especially when we were young, we had a different sense of humor. We're also, like Sarah says, we're not cinephiles, so we're not going back 60 years. I'm not putting a Charlie Chaplin. Fuck Charlie Chaplin on gang, nigga. We don't fuck with Charlie Chaplin.
Whoa.
Okay,
Abort. Red alert.
Abort. So it's we expect you guys to roast us in the comments, but it's just our top 5 favorite. Tell us we're wrong. Tell us we're terrible. Sarah, please take it away. Number 5. Oh no, we're going to honorable mentions first, right?
Honorable mentions first, but I would also like to say, roast him in the comments. Don't roast me. I'm very sensitive.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Honorable mention. This is really interesting to write because I felt that pressure, which is why I said it. I felt that pressure of there's so many great films and what am I forgetting that I loved, But that being said, my runners up. I've got 5. I'm going to bang through them really quick because there's so many. Number 10, Booksmart.
Oh, what year is Booksmart? Do you know? Should I look it up?
I'm sorry, I didn't write that down. Probably, 2019.
No worries.
Am I right? Booksmart, super fun, super funny, interesting, new, different. I had a great time. I really liked that film.
Directed by Olivia Wilde. I don't know which order of film this was for her.
I think it was her first.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember being like, oh, great job.
Directed by a female, written by an all-female cast,
Hell yeah.
stars all females, and I really, really loved this film.
We saw this together
Yeah.
when it came out, and it was just great and smart and funny and new. And Jonah Hill's sister, Beanie Feldstein, was in it, and I really dug it. I liked it a lot. I'm sorry, I didn't make notes about these runners-up.
No, it's okay. What's
runners
the,
up.
Old school? No, what's the movie where they're just trying to get laid, period? Someone has a period, they're dancing with each other and gets on someone's jeans.
Superbad?
Superbad. It's like a version of Superbad for females.
But not as raunchy, because
Here's
it's
the
for
log
female.
line. On the eve of their high school graduation, two academic superstars and best friends realize they should have worked less and played more. Determined not to fall short of their peers, the girls try to cram 4 years of fun into one night, which is an amazing log line.
And exactly that, right? Like, they graduated and they're like, cool, we graduated like summa cum laude or whatever. I guess you don't do that from high school. I was homeschooled. I don't know. I didn't and he didn't graduate from high school.
I wasn't prepared for our podcast to know that, but go ahead.
We don't know anything. Sorry, I just called you out. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. That one was really fun. My next one is number 9 as a runner-up. 8th Grade, directed by Bo Burnham.
Oh, these are very recent movies.
These ones are, yeah.
Yeah.
2018. An introverted teenage girl tries to survive the last week of her disastrous 8th grade year before leaving to start high school. Gucci. Bless.
This film kind of came and went.
Yes.
And I thought I was going to stick around for a while, but again, a really cool look at what it's like to be an 8th grader and making all of the connections for social anxiety that adults have as well.
And thank God you and I did not grow up in the time period where there was like social media and internet for the most part. Like, oh my gosh, he really made you feel the anxiety, but it also was like very funny and very heartwarming and real. And I thought it was a great comedy.
You kind of have taken me by surprise these first 2 films.
Well,
because they're not well-known films. You're killing our ratings, but you're being honest to your list.
I'm sorry, that's why I was going to bang through them really quick. There,
Okay, go ahead.
The top 5 are well-known, I promise.
Okay.
This one's also well-known.
Will you let me know when you have 2 more honorable mentions? I'm going to take turns with you from there.
Yes. So this is number 8, and then I've got 7 and 6. So we have Thor Ragnarok.
No kidding.
I
Thor
know,
made
you're going to be
the
surprised
funniest
by
movies
all
of all
these.
time?
Wow, when you say it like that, this is, again, putting the pressure back on me because I'm like, I don't know if it's the funniest of all time, but I remember really enjoying that movie. When I Googled, like, top comedies, it popped up and I was like, yes, I thought that was so fun and so funny. And it was the first superhero movie that I remember being, I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy was funny, but Thor Ragnarok, I love Taika's sense of humor, and I just really think I love it.
I agree with you here. This is a good film. It's a very funny film.
Yeah.
It's when they finally were comfortable with Chris Hemsworth's character, his Thor character. They finally found it, paired it with the right director, and they finally knew what to do with him. And he's a great comedic actor. We would never known from the first 2 Thors.
Exactly. Yes, that part. And it was like, oh, we can let our superheroes also be funny. And that's where, not to get onto a different podcast, but that's where Marvel wins for me. And that's why I fell in love with those movies in the first place. And that's why I'm not rocking with them now, is because they were so fun and lighthearted and funny. And we were like, oh, we can have this hot guy with arms the size of my body be funny as well. That was just every woman's dream.
Okay,
Do
continue.
a push-up.
Do a push-up and tell a joke.
Intelligent. Okay, now I think we're to my top 2 runners-up. So go ahead with yours.
My first honorable mention comes from the Farrelly brothers. It was a film in 1996 about a star bowler whose career was prematurely cut off, hopes to ride a new prodigy to success and riches. This movie is called Kingpin. It stars Woody Harrelson, Vanessa Angel, Randy Quaid, and an all-time heater of performance from Bill Murray. Kingpin is my honorable mention. I think this is the first movie I saw where I deemed it my favorite funny movie of all time when I watched it. Have you seen it?
I've never seen this.
Oh my God. Okay, all right. Kingpin is it's specific, and it kind of came and went as well, because it was in that kind of the real age of like the slapstick humor.
Ah.
But it's a great time. It's probably a good high watch nowadays. But Kingpin is very very funny.
Okay, I gotta watch that.
Yes.
I don't even really remember hearing about it. I was confusing it with The Big Lebowski, because don't they bowl in that too, or
They
no?
do. Yeah, they do.
I also haven't seen The Big Lebowski. I saw the musical rendition of it at the Rockwell, but I've never seen the actual movie. But I'm writing this down because I will go see it, because I
Okay.
think I'm interested. So it's about bowling?
It is. Yeah. Woody Harrelson's a burnt out bowler.
Okay.
And he finds I forget. Yeah, Randy Quaid is this like prodigy bowler, and 300 is like a perfect game, right? So an average of like 200 and something is a good average.
Oh.
And he finds this Amish bowler that's like so good. He's hearing his numbers. He makes the trek all the way to go sign this Amish bowler, and he gets there. And he realizes the Amish do everything the hard way, so the Amish bowl 12 frames instead of 10.
Oh.
So his average is completely bumped up, and then he has to kind of lead him to this like bowling tournament victory, which is it's hilarious the whole way through.
Okay, great. I'll definitely give it a watch. I've not seen that one. I've definitely heard of it. My number 7 runner-up is Knocked Up.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, Knocked Up.
Knocked Up, Seth Rogen, Katherine Heigl. A fun-loving party animal, Ben Stone. The last thing he ever expected was for his one-night stand to show up on his doorstep 8 weeks later to tell him she's pregnant with his child. I feel like this was this not the Leslie Mann one where she was like, doorman, what are you, doorman? He's like, she's pregnant as hell and you're too old, not for this life, but just for this club. Like, come on, that was, I think, the first time. I might have written this, no, yeah, but I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was funny and it was clever, and it was kind of in the heart of all of those like Judd Apatow and like really good comedies coming out. So that was my number 7 runner-up. What is your next runner-up?
My first runner-up. First of all, Knocked Up is, I don't know if that was the first movie, but all those Judd Apatow movies really revolutionized how characters talk. It really just sounded like a bunch of friends bullshitting, And maybe that's him letting his actors play around and freestyle, but that was the first of like a bunch of movies. I was like, oh, this is a cool new way of writing that became really popular. My number 7, maybe another movie you haven't heard of. It stars who I think every comedian has a run, and this comedian's run, I don't think I've laughed harder than any other comedian I've liked, and his name is Mike Epps.
Oh.
And his style and the way he delivered jokes, won me over immediately. And I don't think I've ever laughed harder than any comedian. And he starred in a movie called All About the Benjamins with Ice Cube and Eva Mendes.
Okay.
That I could watch today and has probably the most quotables of any of these movies I'm about to list. Which, have you ever seen it?
No, I don't
Okay.
even know if I've heard. I've definitely heard that title, but I haven't heard of it in any kind of meaningful way.
That's
no.
my honorable mention. It's a great
Oh,
film,
yay, okay,
and he
I'm
is just
excited.
cooking the whole time. It's the Mike Epps show. Like, they give Ice Cube some stuff to play with, but Mike Epps really they gave him a meal and he devoured it. It's great.
I'm excited. I'm going to write these down. So I want to maybe recap the ones I haven't seen
Okay.
on this pod. Would
Okay.
be fun. So All
All right.
About the Benjamins.
Again, Kingpin.
And Kingpin. How
Yeah.
cool. Okay. My runner-up and my number 1 runner-up, and you're going to like this because you introduced me to these films. Do you have any idea what I'm going to say? No.
I
How
don't.
could you? I'll give you a hint. There's no scripts.
I don't know.
There is an ensemble cast of Johnny Knoxville.
Oh, man. This is great.
You guys. Is
This
this on
is
your
a
list?
great-
Is this on your list at all?
It is not. It's a comedy, right?
Oh, I mean.
It has to be.
It's a comedy. It's not scripted, so it's a little outside the box, but it almost made my list. This was number 6 of my top 5. Woo. Asaad took. I grew up very religious and very homeschooled and sheltered, and I just thought that being prim and proper was the correct way to be. And as I kind of grew into my own, as I got older, I was like, oh, it's okay to laugh at fart jokes and, like that's okay. And so I never saw these Jackass movies in their prime because I was above them. But Asaad, maybe a couple years ago, when the new the new Jackass came out, it was like, what is it called? Jackass Forever.
Yes.
I believe.
Yeah.
And that's the only one I had ever seen, the first and only one I'd seen. And I was dying. I mean, there's still a little bit of that kind of prude Christian girl inside of me that's like, oh, well. Yeah. But there's something about a guy getting kicked in the balls that's funny. It's just funny.
I don't think, honestly, not to be hyperbolic, like not no hyperbole, I don't ever think I've seen you laugh harder at anything than you in Jackass.
And it was almost like I was surprised that I thought it was funny.
Yeah,
if that
guys,
makes
because it was like showing an alien this movie, because she'd never think this type of stuff was funny. It was below her. So the fact, and she didn't know about Jackass. She didn't watch the TV show on MTV.
No.
She's like, these are stunts that
I
they're
knew
doing.
about it.
They're like having a baby alligator bite the tip of someone's penis and shit. Like,
wild.
Watching Sarah relive it, because I knew what I was signing up for, but watching Sarah try to compute, wait, this is a thing, and then seeing the result and her cracking up was really an experience.
It's so dumb and it's so funny, and I just remember leaving that movie being like, that was one of the best days it was just fun, you know, like it's just one of those carefree days where you just like laughed and laughed and laughed, and you knew it was dumb and funny. And anyways, that was my runner-up for best comedy of my list. So
I had one more runner-up. I counted wrong because I got
that's
a
okay.
GED.
Let's hear it.
But number 6, and my black friends are gonna kill me, man. My black card is being sold because this should be higher on the list. But to me, Friday is very funny, but it's more poignant to me. It was more special because it had a voice of a community and a section in LA that you have to be around to understand. This is my honorable mention. It should have made top 5. I know. Don't take my black card from me, but to me, it's not very funny. There's funny parts in it. It's just so important because I've never seen anything like it. Now, it's more important than it is funny to me, and still has a bunch of quotables. And Chris Tucker is just like, I mean, he's on 100 from the beginning. But that's my last honorable mention. I wish it made top 5. I know you're going to take my black card from me, and I apologize. But to me, it wasn't as funny as it was important.
If I could be given a black card, this is my number 1. No, I'm just kidding. I've never seen it.
You've never seen Friday?
I have
Sarah,
not.
I honestly hate when people do that. You haven't seen this?
You haven't seen. I haven't seen.
But not seeing Friday is crazy.
If it makes you feel any better, I also haven't seen Back to the Future or like any of those
okay,
other.
but we're not coupling Friday together with Back to the
I'm just saying, there's a lot of movies that people are like, you haven't seen that? Like,
it's Friday.
I don't know, Psycho. I don't know. I haven't seen any of those movies.
At this point, if you haven't seen Friday as a white person, it's racism.
Yeah, I agree. That is truly terrible. I've got it on my list. I'm gonna go watch it tonight.
Okay, all right. Are we on top 5?
We're on top 5.
Let's do it. So if you name one that's on my list, or vice versa, we have to reveal what number it is, right?
Yes,
okay.
And I'm gonna guess, based on my top 5. So let me quickly, I'm gonna guess we have 0 to 1.
No shit. In common?
Yeah, 0 in common to maybe there's 1 on here that you might also have on your list, but that's it.
Okay.
100%, I don't think we have the same list at all.
Okay.
So this should be interesting to try and get to a community top 5.
Yeah.
My number 5. The year is 2005, and I'm going to hit you with the log line first and see if you can guess it. John Beckwith and Jeremy Gray, a pair of committed womanizers who stop me when you know it.
I do.
Oh, you know it already.
I maybe have only seen it once. Go ahead.
Who sneak into weddings to take advantage of the romantic tinge in the affair. I don't know what that means. Find themselves at odds with one another when John meets and falls for Claire Cleary. What are we talking about, Asaad? We're talking about
Wedding Crashers.
Wedding Crashers. So I hear your sighs of discontent back there.
No, I like this.
So this movie admittedly holds nostalgia for me, which I think plays a part in any of our favorite movies, right? This movie came to me right at the end of my Goody Two-Shoes era. I
think it's a solid selection. I think there's the people that are watching this are going to be like, yeah, there's no objection there. I will say the Vince Vaughn era was something I just never understood. I'm sorry. What?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just going to say, that was the reason that I liked this movie, was because it was during the Vince Vaughn era of like, there's all of this back and forth, a lot of improv, a lot of Vince just being Vince. Like, when you try to put him into a role, maybe he's not the best actor, but man, can he be himself, and himself is great, right?
Yeah, this is a specific style of comedy
Yeah.
that I understood and respected why people thought it was funny. I never thought it was funny. It's a little similar to how Dave, which is Lil Dicky's TV show, does now. It's like this neurotic rambling to deliver lines that's talking really fast and bringing up a lot of things. And I understand why people would think it's funny.
Yeah.
But Vince Vaughn did that a lot as well, right?
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
Oh, 100%. That's his thing, you know. But I liked the shtick. I hadn't seen it before. I was all in.
Let me give you my number 5.
Yeah, let's hear it.
You know I'm Malaysian, right?
No.
I am. I'm a quarter Malaysian. My mom is half Puerto Rican, half Malaysian, which makes me quarter Malaysian. My number 5 is a movie kind of about Malaysia
Okay.
and the death or someone trying to kill the prime minister of Malaysia. Do you know what it is?
I have a guess, but I don't know.
What if I tell you the person that tried to kill the prime minister of Malaysia is a brainwashed, clueless fashion model?
Zoolander?
It is Zoolander. Yes. Zoolander is my number 5. That's the log line. At the end of his
Right.
career, a clueless fashion model is brainwashed to kill the prime minister of Malaysia.
I did not know you liked this movie. This is such a pleasant surprise. I'm learning about you.
This is not on your list?
No.
Oh, no shit. Okay, all right. To me,
High-minded.
as I Think You Should Leave is proving right now, if you guys aren't watching I Think You Should Leave on Netflix, I don't know what's going on with you. Me and Sarah, that's like, he's our president. As that show proves, it's one thing to be funny, but sometimes the funny is designated to how many quotables your movie or TV show has.
100%.
And Zoolander has a million quotables, right? Everybody knows a bunch of Zoolander quotes.
Let's hear them, because I don't.
Well, this needs to be 3 times that size. Do you know that?
I know, like,
Look at the little
what is this, a
scaled-down model.
house for ant? Oh,
A
right?
house for ants. The files are in the computer. My favorite quote that not a lot of people know is like when his manager calls him, which is his dad in real life. He's like, Derek. He's like, God? He's like, no. Like, why would you think it was God calling?
He called him on the phone?
Yeah,
And he
on
thought
the
it was
mini
God?
phone. Yeah, the mini phone. They have a walk-off. Will Ferrell is probably the best part of this movie.
Yeah.
Ben Stiller directed it, wrote it, starred in it. I think, other than maybe the Adam Sandler era, which maybe I'm ruining things in the going forward, that this movie is probably the most ubiquitous amongst comedy fans. That like they will tell you a quote for this.
You know, that's a great poll. And I think there is something to be said about the golden age of comedies. We've left it. We had, I think, early 2000s was like, we were just blockbuster comedy after blockbuster comedy.
They don't exist anymore.
And we just don't make them because people, I don't know, the movie theaters were like, superheroes will put butts in seats. That's what we'll do. Everyone's so worried about the bottom line and they don't trust the audience at all. So they're just like, it's too scary. But man, this list is really bringing me back to like the nostalgic age of, and I think we'll probably find when we talk about the years these were made, that there was, you know, an itch. And of course there's nostalgia, but I think there was a time where like these big comedies were happening and they were so fun and just so dumb.
Yeah.
You know, and like I
they
said
didn't
in the
have to be about
beginning,
anything. Yeah.
it's like going and just being like, oh, this is such a silly, dumb thing, and I had a great time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great pick. I've seen that movie one time, a long time ago, but it's on the list of ones I need to rewatch. So moving on to my number 4. Elf.
Oh no, a seasonal comedy.
I could watch it all year round. I think it's so funny.
Okay.
And I know, I could hear the disappointment in your voice
Not
when you said
not at all.
okay.
I actually love Elf. I think it's funny.
It's just one of my faves, and it's like, okay, logline. Raised as an oversized elf, we all know Elf. Buddy travels from the North Pole to New York City to meet his biological father, Walter Hobbs, who doesn't know he exists and is in desperate need of some Christmas spirit. Will Ferrell swung and he hit a home run. He was doing the most, and I was listening to an interview, and I don't remember who it was with, so forgive me for this half-assed story, but I remember them saying, when we were shooting this film, we thought that Will Ferrell was doing too much and that it was going to be really bad.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And then when it came out, they're like, oh, I guess it worked. It might have been Andy Richter, actually, because he was in that film, who I heard. But we had a blonde Zooey Deschanel, like who even knew she existed. She looked totally different, New Girl. Mm-hmm. And we had directed by Jon Favreau.
Oh, before he meant the world to everyone.
Before he made Iron Man. I just think this movie, like the scene where he burps really loud, you know, I went full into my like teenage child.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
If you're watchers of the pod, guys, Sarah doesn't like the fart jokes.
But a burp joke will get me every time. No, I think this was like right into my, again, we're going back to my like era of accepting that I'm not some sort of a person who takes high tea. That scene where he goes, did you hear that? It's just so dumb and funny. And there's so many moments where he plays it so over the top, but he's so committed and genuine that it works so well. It's like they say, you know, another thing I learned in acting class, it's like playing dumb is not a thing. If you're playing dumb, it's not going to work. No one's going to like you. But if you're genuinely, like no person in life thinks, I'm dumb.
Yeah.
Right? So Elf, being so out of touch and not knowing anything about this world, even though it was silly and over the top, when you watched Will's performance, you believed it. There was a wide-eyed, like, innocence to him that just worked. And there is genius there. Like, we can think
guts, too.
Yes, especially in something, you know, on both ends. Like, Jon Favreau trusting him to do it, and then Will Ferrell being like, yeah, this is how big I think I should be when everyone else is playing really, really minimal and natural.
Yeah, that's interesting that you bring that up for an actor, because that's got to be hard. Comedies have a lot of big personalities, but Elf is the specific scenario where everybody is straight, and Will Ferrell is the only one going crazy. I can't imagine being an actor on that set being like, I'm just determining the tone, and I'm going to be completely ridiculous while everyone looks at me.
100%, especially like Zooey Deschanel, who's playing kind of the everyman, the Jim from The Office, if you will, who's just like, you guys are seeing this, right? This is really weird, right? And I'll say, not that I've had a ton of experience, but in my experience personally, and I don't speak for every actor, I'm sure, when I've been on sets, you're kind of like, and again, I haven't been number one on the call sheet, which means, you know, Will Ferrell would have been number one on the call sheet of Elf. It means you're the lead. As a secondary, third, fourth character, you go onto set and you're just kind of like, I hope this feels right. I have absolutely no idea how it's going to look in the edit. And a lot of the times, the director doesn't have time to come over and talk to you as someone who's a guest, you know? So I think that speaks to this movie and kind of like how well all of the secondary actors did, or how well the director did of communicating it. But I think, you know, I really like this movie. I will revisit this movie, Christmas or not. It's one of the ones I've just like bought and have in my iTunes and can always just go rewatch. So I like it a lot.
We haven't had any matching ones yet. It's
I don't think we might have one or two, but I don't think we will.
I want to move on, but I do want to say,
okay,
is that maybe we do a separate pod about it? Is that your pinnacle moment for Will Ferrell? Let me remind you, because I have a weird Will Ferrell taste. I don't think he's funny a lot of the time, but is that your favorite Will Ferrell movie?
Yeah.
I give you Anchorman, Talladega Nights, Blades of Glory, Step Brothers. That's your favorite?
By the way, I just rewatched Step Brothers 3 days ago. Threw it on in the background, and I know that's because I was working on this list, and I thought maybe I slept on Step Brothers because that's a lot of people's top favorite comedy.
Yeah, I'm the same way with Step Brothers. It doesn't really get me there.
It's funny.
Yeah.
You know, and I liked it. I like the cast a lot.
I think you have to have a real stepbrother for it to hit home.
That's true.
You just don't understand.
I don't understand.
I have a weird Will Ferrell stance, and then maybe it'll ruin a pod that we do in the future, like an all Will Ferrell. But my favorite 2 movies of his are strange as hell. You know, I love Kicking and Screaming. He's the soccer coach.
Yes, I do know you love that movie.
And Megamind. Have you seen Megamind?
I think I did see it because you made me watch it, and I think I remember being like, "Oh, this is really good," and nobody watched this. Yeah.
What number are we on? We're on 4.
4. So let's hear your number 4.
Let me tell you the log line of it.
Okay.
Did I lose it? Okay. Maybe I lost it. 3 company workers who hate their jobs decide to rebel against their greedy boss.
Oh, horrible bosses!
Which is so crazy, but it's not that. Isn't that crazy? When I read this log line,
Wait, it's not horrible bosses?
No. And I thought it was the exact same thing. I was like, when I read this log line, that sounds like horrible bosses. This was in 1999, though, and the movie is Office Space.
Oh, Office Space.
Written and directed by Mike Judge. And this was a movie that was made, that it's like sometimes movies get made where it hits a niche where everybody was like, everyone can relate to that. And I'm not sure if we don't have Office Space today, we might not have The Office. Now, here's the thing. I know that The Office originated it was overseas, right?
No,
and then was brought to America.
Fair,
but I don't think we have that TV show without this movie because it highlights how mundane the 9 to 5 is at a job you don't care about, which is 90% of America.
Yes, I agree. I think you're onto something there. Like, if it wasn't proven, America is very big, and maybe every place is, but capitalism is very big on like prove how we're going to make money off this movie. So if you've seen Office Space, you know, okay, people are going to relate to this, and we can make The Office and the American version.
Very, very much so. I just think a lot of the time there's successful movies, and what I love is when someone hits a niche like this that everyone should have thought, yeah, why didn't I make the movie about that?
Yes.
Why the hell didn't I make that movie? Because everyone can relate to it. It's also kind of similar to Barbie, where I'm like, yeah, you needed to give something that females can watch. Why didn't you have a female, like, you know, like, of course you should have made that movie 2 decades ago, you know?
Yeah.
It's like this niche that's been begging for someone to make a movie about it that everyone can relate to. And the fact, there's a lot of weird stuff about Office Space. The fact that, like, there's no big stars in it. Jennifer Aniston is the love interest in it. Mm-hmm. And, of course, she's a huge star, but everyone else has had just the most ordinary and normal movie career. And they made such a phenomenal film, you know, that everyone can relate to. And this has a lot of quotables. Everyone knows about the stapler.
My stapler. That's my stapler.
And you know me, I like, because I come from a small town, I like shows about things that are not important, but seem important.
Yeah.
That a TPS report can be like, 3 people at your work can be like, bro, what's going on with your TPS reports? You know?
I'm going to need you to stay late on Saturday. I need you to come
so
in on
Office
Saturday.
Space is my number 4 comedy. And I think we're sensing kind of a theme here with early aughts, late 90s.
Okay, number 3. I'm going to read you the log line. I think it's more fun that way. Okay.
Yeah.
2008. Devastated Peter takes a Hawaiian vacation in order to deal with the recent breakup with his TV star girlfriend, Sarah. Little does he know, Sarah's traveling to the same resort as her ex, and she's bringing along her new boyfriend.
Holy.
We all know what this one is.
You know what? I'm mad I didn't think about this.
Oh, really? Because, yeah, I know you like this one.
Yeah.
It's so
this
funny.
is a great pick, Sarah.
Okay, so we are talking about, of course, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. This movie was kind of the peak of the comedy blockbuster wave, I think. We had Superbad, 40-Year-Old Virgin, Step Brothers, Anchorman. The cast is stellar, and the comedy is there. I haven't seen a movie like this before, and I certainly haven't seen one since. And my favorite kind of moment in this, or part of this movie, and I'm not the biggest Jonah Hill fan because I think he's not that nice in real life, but I don't have any reason to base that out of other than I was cocktailing at a party that he was attending, and I gave him a Diet Coke as he asked, and he was like, I was like, oh shoot, I'm supposed to hand you a napkin. I was 22, you know, and I had been told by my boss, every beverage gets served with a napkin. This was like a star-studded event in Hollywood. And I was like, oh, here you go. And he's like, what do you think? I think I can handle it without spilling it all over myself. And I was like, okay. Yeah, it just kind of seems like a dick. And I've heard other stories. Anyways, neither here nor there. But my favorite part of this movie was him playing the host who was like obsessed with Aldous Snow. I just thought it was so funny. And he's just like, fanboys over him. And he's like, oh, I love all of your albums. He's like, tries to see somebody and he's just like, okay, well, fuck me, right? I just think he plays that so well, and it was so funny, and it was before he hit his like superstardom, and I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, this is a great pull, and in fact, this is the first selection you've made that I'm like, I wish I would have put that on my list.
Oh, cool.
Because this is an all-time comedy because they have so many good characters in it, and all of them did their job. Like, let me read this cast list to you.
Ugh.
And you can even like assign who has the best career after this. This is like only it could have happened in the late aughts or early 90s. Kristen Bell.
Amazing.
Jason Segel. Paul Rudd. Mila Kunis. Russell Brand. Bill Hader. And that's just like the headliners of that, An amazing cast. And they're all very different characters. Paul Rudd plays what? A Hawaii burnout that... what's Paul Rudd's character?
Right? Isn't it Kunu? Oh, hey. And he like gets like a bunch of coral stuck in his leg. He's like, oh, Kunu hates blood, and he keeps fainting. Oh my god!
Just all bangers in this. That's a great selection.
By the way, when you said Bill Hader, it reminded me of the scene where he's like FaceTiming Jason Segel from Hawaii, and his wife is just like, hi, and he's like, go a little lower, a little lower, a little lower. Back up again, a little lower, back up. And then he's like, what was that pearl necklace there the whole time? It's so dumb. It's so cheap, but like, I got it. And I liked that I got it.
I got it.
Okay, what's your number 3?
I just got to find the log line.
Oh, yeah.
Really quick, because I think you might...
I'm excited to know if I can guess it from the log line.
Yeah, okay. And this is, I guess this is really... I didn't realize this when I was making this list, but it's really telling you something about me. Because I have a lot of unique picks. I didn't even mean to do that. It's just movies that meant a lot to me that I laughed at for a long time, like watched a bunch,
Yes.
Berated all his life by those around him. A monk follows his dream and dons a mask to moonlight as a luchador, a Mexican wrestler. I am talking about Jack Black's 2006 masterpiece, Nacho Libre. This movie to me, yeah. This is not on your list, is it?
It's not. But
we might not have anything that's a shared item on it on our list the whole time, probably. We'll see. But this to me, there's a lot of comedians. I don't know if it sounds bad, but there was a lot of white comedians that I didn't really see the fuss about. Will Ferrell was one of them.
That's fair.
I didn't like anything from Jack Black. I thought it was so try-hard.
Yeah.
This movie, to me, it's directly related to how close you are to Mexican or just like Latin culture.
Okay.
And it makes it so much funnier. The fact that Jack Black is like donning kind of a Spanish accent.
Oh, I mean, yeah. It definitely doesn't like pass
Time
the
out
test. Well. Yeah, but when it came out, it was okay. And Asaad showed it to me, and I laughed my face off. I never watched it.
Did you really?
That movie.
Oh, you liked it?
Oh, yeah, you showed it to me. You were like, oh, you've never seen this. You've got to watch it. And we watched it, and I was like, oh, this is hilarious.
Yeah, and I guess Sarah pointed this out to me, I'm always laughing at a part in the movie that no one else is laughing at. So maybe my sense of humor is a little off kilter, but it seemed like Nacho Libre lived in this, not just awkward comedy, because I know that's popular now, but it's a very specific awkward comedy that we're not even sure if that's a joke. And when it hits, and then like you give it 3 seconds, you're like, I guess that was their joke, and that makes it funny for me. You know?
Yes.
But they had such a unique cast for this.
Yeah.
He is a monk that wants to be a wrestler, that is leading children, that has a crush on a nun that can't date men, and his best friend, his luchador sidekick, doesn't believe in God. So he has to try to convert him while keeping his luchador personality hidden while he is wrestling that night. For me, it all clicked for me on Jack Black when I saw this movie. I was like, oh, now I see the fuss about Jack Black. And probably of the movies we're talking about, this is probably the movie I watched the most.
My question is, A, off the top of your head without Googling, do you think that this movie came before or after Napoleon Dynamite? Because I do feel that they're pretty similar in tone.
Yeah, it's that awkward, nothing's happening, no like performance with the delivery of lines, that's just one note.
Seinfeld,
I would say
the movie.
it probably came after.
You're correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking it came before, and then the Napoleon Dynamite came after, but they're very close. It was within 2 years of each other. So I think Napoleon Dynamite was like 2004, and this one was 2006. But it's interesting because you do see, as much as we shit on the studios for being out of touch and only caring about the bottom line, you do see waves, right? Like they probably were made around the same time and developed around the same time, but as we saw them, we were like, oh, Napoleon Dynamite came out first, and this was just ripping it off. Whereas in actuality, they were probably written around the same time and around that same kind of like sense of humor as a culture. That's a great one. I really, really remember you showing me this and really thinking it was funny. And you were like, there's no way you're going to think this is funny. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy it.
Shit.
Oh, what?
I just had a moment of what's on your list, and I can't believe it's not on my list.
Uh-oh. You better change it. You got time.
Oh, man. No, I got to stick to it.
It's Newsies all over again.
Okay, what's your number 2? Damn it.
Come on, man.
Yes.
Get it together.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
I can't believe it either. That's the one I was like, he's definitely going to have that one.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 2. You guys, we're a mess. Just a whole mess, Asaad and I. My number 2, the logline. Competition between the maid of honor and a bridesmaid over who is the bride's best friend threatens to upend the life of an out-of-work pastry chef.
Unbelievable logline, by the way.
Yes?
Unbelievable logline.
Do you know what we're talking about?
As someone who watches everything Rose Byrne does.
Just introduced you to her.
Yes, and I do. She's like, I'm at the point with her where I think she loves me. I'm at that stalking point with Rose Byrne. I love this thing. Sorry, problematic?
Who wants to tell him? Should I tell him?
She knows I exist, right?
I don't think she does. Bridesmaids, 2011. You guys, this might be, and this is why it's my number 2, one of the 2 to 3 comedies that if I'm just like, don't know what to put on and I just want to feel good, this goes on. It holds up, which is tough. You know, as we're getting older and the times are changing, our goalposts are continually moving on what's funny, what's acceptable. This movie stands so fucking tall. Like, it's still so funny every time I watch it. I can rewatch this movie so much. And there's so much nuance in the choice of the actors. And I think that's really what makes it special, is you can watch it and you'll find something new that some new choice that the actor made every time, as if it were live theater, you know? Because I think they really hired improv actors, which is another theme on kind of what I really like in a comedy, I think, is when you're just really letting these really interesting, really funny individuals be themselves. Like, that shines through, and it wins every time. So
great selection. This is exposing a lot of options. I'm jealous of your list. You're kind of cooking.
But that's the thing, right? Is when I made it, I was so. Thank you for saying that, because I was so nervous, and it feels like so intense to be like, what's the best of all time? Don't mess up. It's just what I could think of that I thought was funny. But my favorite part, if I had to pick a scene, was the whole plane scene when they're flying to Vegas.
Oh, man.
It is firing on so many cylinders. You've got all of the main cast on a plane, and we're just visiting each and every one of them in their own different, like, kind of meltdown in whatever way. So you've got Melissa McCarthy, who's like trying to seduce the what do you call him? An air marshal. So you've got her trying to seduce the air marshal. She's like, I see you. And she puts her leg up on the thing. She's trying to get him to go in the bathroom with her. That's her husband in real life. Did you know that? Ben
Oh,
I think his name's Ben
Yeah, that makes sense.
So funny. And then the best part, you've got not Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, high on pills. The guy keeps trying to get her to go back to her seat, and she's like, Stove. What kind of a name is that, Stove? What are you, an appliance? He's like, it's Steve. It says Steve. It's just, and then she does like a weird, like, Heil Hitler. It's just so funny, and she nails it. And I can watch that movie over and over again.
And just, my Wokeisha segment, it just meant a lot, I think. And you should probably speak on this, not me, but like the opportunity
100%.
of giving women that wrote, directed, and the full cast of women the opportunity to make this film and fucking crushing it.
Yeah, and it's, I was thinking about that when I was writing this down. It was kind of like a bummer that they haven't maybe they have been given the opportunity, but I don't know. It's a bummer that we haven't seen more. I know we've seen more from these filmmakers. I know we've seen like Barb and Star, which was funny. But anyway, yeah, I agree.
And I think it's important that, I want minorities, women, whatever, to have all the opportunities in the world. But it's funny when they tell a story that comes directly from their experience as a female.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, you put them in Ghostbusters a couple of years after that. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I want them to get money, and that's cool. But the real, like, I think the real gems come from, like, when they channel the specific experience they have as a female, that a man can't write that fucking film, you know?
Well, that's it, right? It's like I kind of said before, what to me is so funny is when they let people just cook and be themselves. And, like, don't get me wrong, because I will backtrack on this when we're talking about acting in a serious film, and I don't think that you have to. I don't. The only role I can play is not, a musical theater square who was raised from whatever. But it works in these comedies where you kind of let people rock, and just like really funny people, just let them be funny. And I really enjoyed it. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is something that you'll never guess if I give you the log line, but I'll give it to you anyway.
Okay. In
1932. 2 strangers.
Annie.
Yes, Annie.
I wouldn't call it a comedy, but I'm so glad it's on your list. 2 strangers. She's poor. She meets Daddy Warbucks. He adopts her, and they live happily ever after.
A movie about waiting for the sun to come out.
Good job. Proud of you.
In 1932, 2 strangers are wrongfully convicted and develop a strong friendship in prison that lasts them to the 20th century.
I know this one.
What is it?
Is it called Life?
It is called Life.
Oh, yes. You introduced me to this one too, and it was so good.
Yeah.
It's whites only pie.
We got to cut that out of the
No.
And this is a thing, guys, where like me and Sarah's life have intersect beautifully. We're like, of course she didn't know this movie exists, and of course I didn't know like musical theater exists. And every once in a while we'll have this like convergence where she's like, this movie Life is hilarious. And what are you cooling yourself down for?
I'm sorry, it's just so funny, and I'm trying to be quiet so you can talk. It was so funny. I really enjoyed this one. I'm glad it's making our top 5.
Yeah,
Spoiler
this
alert.
is
It's so
one
good.
of those movies that, and Sarah has one on her list, which I think is number 1 that I feel dumb for not putting on, but where you want to show it to someone so bad, but you're worried they're not gonna like it because it's so specific.
Yes, 100%. You love it so much, and you're like, I hope you like this film, because if not, I'm not going to be able to talk to you ever again.
Yeah, and Sarah, my experience with her is like, I can show her uniquely black things.
Yeah.
And either it clicks for her, or she's just like, I have no idea why that's funny. You know. And Life is a uniquely black story that I was actually surprised how funny you thought it was.
I love those guys. I think they're just hilarious.
Yeah,
and I liked them in other movies in the 90s and early 2000s as well. So
yeah. And for me, I don't know what your experience was growing up, but having Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy in a comedy together, headlining the movie,
God, yes.
it like shook our world.
Yes.
I was like, I can't believe these 2 are going to be in a film together. And the crazy part is like it even over-delivered those expectations of having the 2 best comedians make a movie together. And random as fuck, it was actually kind of sentimental and important. Like there's a part when they're in jail, and of course they're talking about just being post-slavery times.
Yeah.
Right? And the places they can go and how white people look at them. But then they had what I would say, and sorry if I don't know the terms right, and I should, but like they had like a trans person or a black male in prison that identified as a woman back then in it.
Crazy.
They were taking on real subjects.
Do you know what year?
This was made in 1999.
Crazy.
So they're taking on real subjects, and there's like real parts. It's about like a chain gang when they're in prison, and someone falsely accused of murder, and them dealing with that, and about a lifetime of friendship between these 2 that went from in and out. And the fact that it got made in 1999, now it took 2 of the biggest black comedians of all time, but to be like, it's about a friendship between 2 black men that were wrongfully accused. And it made so much money, just and it brings out happy memories for me because it was an important film that was equally as funny. So,
hell yeah.
Number 2 is Life for me.
I love that choice, and I think Eddie Murphy is one of the funniest fucking comedians of all time. Like comedy actors. I haven't seen stand up or anything. I don't know if he does stand up, but like in movies in that time. Like I remember, I've told you this a million times, and I haven't watched it since, so forgive me if it's terrible. But I remember really liking I Spy with like him and Owen Wilson, and I thought it was so funny. And he was in Mulan, and he was my favorite part of that movie. And this goes back to kind of letting people who are funny, interesting people make a character their own. Obviously, this is a scripted movie. This is not anywhere near close to their lives as, being prisoners and being wrongfully convicted of whatever. But like the fact that they were able to kind of take the characters and the writing and the story and go along with it, and that part was really interesting and great. But they also made it their own a little bit is where it wins, right?
Yes, exactly.
I
I
agree.
feel like they played a lot, and the cast, like Bernie Mac is in it too.
Yeah.
The cast was great, and I don't know. There's just so many iconic moments in it, and you can tell when Eddie Murphy's kind of freestyling too. So it means a lot. This movie means a lot to me. My family would watch it together, and just all crack up at it.
My family also watched it together.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm, yeah. We're talking about Les Miserables, right?
Miserable.
No, my family didn't watch it, but I was really happy that you showed that to me. That and Nacho Libre as well. I thought were both really, really great, and I super enjoyed.
Sarah Rebecca Stouffer, the time has come for you, with all the pressure mounting on your shoulders, to tell us your #1 comedy of all time. Logline me.
This was the easiest pick for me. There was no question about this. It was everything after that became a little bit difficult. Logline. There's a good reason some talent remains undiscovered. In a fictional small town of Blaine, Missouri, a few residents prepare to put on a community theater production led by eccentric director Corky St. Clair. What's the movie, Asaad?
This movie is titled Waiting for Guffman.
It's entitled to
It's
be
entitled
Waiting for
as
Guffman.
well.
Guys, there is a huge nostalgia factor for me, but this movie holds up, man. I can watch this movie still to this day, find new and funny and interesting things, very much like Theater Camp, which we reviewed previously. It's a non-scripted film, so it's mostly improvised. They have, I believe what they do is they really flesh out the characters that they want. They hire improvisers to play them, and they tell like beats of what needs to happen over the stories. For instance, in this podcast, Sarah's going to hit her top favorite movies, Asaad's going to hit his, and then they'll talk about it, and that's it, right? So we've got kind of an idea of where we need to go, but we don't really have lines written for us, which is how most films and television work. They did such an incredible job on this film. It's like I said, it's about this small town who's trying to put on a play, and it is the most important thing they have ever done. It is the bicentennial, sesquicentennial,
which is hilarious in itself.
And they're putting on the story about how their town was founded, their roots, and it is very important to them. And they hire this director who was a big shot, and he thought he was going to go to New York, but kind of failed, and so he's back, and everyone's so impressed because he's been to New York, and he was in an off Broadway play. So it's like, he never really made anything of himself, but to them, he was the one who made it out. Eugene Levy and Christopher Guest went to a cabin to write out their kind of character briefs on this play. And I remember hearing Eugene Levy say that he thought they had been there for a month, and he was like, I think we got it. And Christopher Guest was like, no, we don't. So keep writing, keep finding your character. And it paid off because once you have that, it turns out, and you've got great talent, you could just have a great movie. So my favorite scene of this film, Corky, this director, finds out that a big wig from New York is going to come and watch their play, and in his mind, he says, okay, if this goes well, we're going to go to Broadway, right? And so once he realizes the stakes are higher because he's got to put on the show for this big Broadway producer, he goes and asks the town founders, the city council, for money to fund his play. and he comes up with a number. Do you remember what it is, Asaad?
I don't remember the number. $250,000?
He asked for $100,000.
And this city hasn't had $100,000 for 10 years.
That's the guy goes. That's the budget for the entire. $10,000 is the budget for the entire year, and that includes the swimming pool. And this goes back to what I was saying about your number 2, is that they put them in these wild scenarios, but they are so. Or I'm sorry, I guess it was about Elf. They're in these wild scenarios where the person is playing it so dead serious, right? So Corky's asking them for $100,000, and when they literally laugh in his face because they think he's joking, he's so shocked and offended. And he says, okay, so basically, let me read this because it's very funny. So what I'm understanding here, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you're not giving me any money. So now I'm left with with nothing. I'm left with zero, in which what can I do with zero? And then he says, I hate you and I hate your ass face. And he says, I'm just going to go home and I'm going to bite my pillow.
And his role is like a closeted gay man, you know?
He's like very effeminate in his, kind of mannerisms, but he always is talking about his wife, who the other characters are like, yeah, I've never met her. She must not be very supportive. That's kind of part of the joke, you know?
Yeah.
And so I hate you and I hate your ass face. It's just so funny. Parker Posey's in this movie, Eugene Levy. It's firing on all cylinders. I saw this movie when I was probably 13 years old, and I didn't know anything about him or it or Spinal Tap or anything, and I'm so grateful for those friends who showed it to me because I have loved it with all of my heart ever since.
Similar to how I wanted to show Sarah Nacho Libre and Life. You know, hopefully you guys, if you're watching this channel, you're familiar with Gray Area, and I wrote Gray Area and made it with Sarah because I got into the Office hole. Like, remember how often I was watching The Office?
Yes,
like everyone else in
The
America,
Office so
you know?
much.
But got so deep into it, I was like, man, Sarah, we should make a mockumentary about our life, you know? And it just kind of shaped out. So hopefully people like Gray Area. But I was watching a lot of mockumentary stuff leading up and writing and like what's funny when you're shooting it like this false documentary style. And I watched a lot of shows. The Office, and then Sarah hit me to a Lisa Kudrow show called The Comeback on HBO.
So good.
Which that's a really sleeper show. I really fell in love with that show. I called her like, I remember watching it somewhere on the road. I was on the road. I was like, Sarah, this show is brilliant. And then you're like, hey, I've been wanting to show you this movie, but I think, not to take your words, you're worried that I wouldn't think it was funny at all.
Please, yes, of course.
And when you finally showed it to me, it was like, I hate to get corny, but it was like we had this deeper understanding of each other that we both liked this film.
Yeah, and I will say, like, I would bet that if any of you watching or listening to this podcast went and sought out Waiting for Guffman, you might be like, what the hell is this
why
girl
is this
talking
funny?
about? But I would, so that's what I assumed everyone would think about it. So when I will say it goes to credit to you to be able to kind of feel and sense what is funny about this to another culture and another like type of person, you know?
Yeah, very, very funny. Very funny show. Great selection. I can't believe I didn't think of it for how much I love that film.
Yeah.
That might be the film that like is the film that both of us love the most together. I don't know. That's a bad sentence.
No, I feel you. I hear you. And I think, you know, maybe, again, like I said, it was hard to find these because you're like, how do you remember every comedy you've ever seen?
Yeah. So we're going to miss some. But, okay.
Let's hear your number one, drum roll. Brrr.
Along with a lot of my other movies that people are going to hate me for, this has been late 90s, early aughts. IMDb gave this a 7 out of a 10, which is a travesty. This is about a movie about a man trying to save his grandmother's house. By saving his grandmother's house, he tries a sport he's never tried before. He's a hockey player that tries golf to save his grandmother's house.
Oh.
This man is Happy Gilmore. This was the most highly quoted thing as I was in high school. Again, grew up in Salt Lake, Utah, so you could imagine what an Adam Sandler-led movie did to a city like Salt Lake, Utah.
Oh, gosh.
And my friends, multiple friends, would wait outside of the video center for this movie to be bought. That's how much it meant to people, this movie. Adam Sandler was on the run of his career, couldn't miss, and in my opinion, this was the funniest of his films. Now, nowadays, if I watched it back today, I probably wouldn't even laugh at half of this stuff. But the way it had me in a chokehold back then,
Yeah.
I even bought the VHS for it, and we memorized this whole movie. And a great coming off the bench performance by Ben Stiller as an evil old folks home nurse. They made Bob Barker do a cameo where he's punching Adam Sandler in the face.
Oh, yeah.
You get I forget the name of the lady who's on Modern Family.
Julie Bowen?
Julie Bowen was his love interest in this. And I just think this is the best of Adam Sandler's pinnacle when he had it in the late 90s. And for what it meant to me, it was probably the most important comedic movie as I was growing up. Happy Gilmore is my number one, Sarah. We didn't have any movies that matched.
Asaad, I'm very surprised. And B, I feel like I know you maybe better than most people. And I would say I didn't know you liked that movie. I've never seen this movie.
You know, the thing is that it didn't age well, so maybe I haven't watched it a lot in my adulthood.
I totally know what you mean.
But the way we watched it when we were young was like, this thing got watched every day, multiple times a day.
That was my Wedding Crashers. It was kind of like, oh man, the nostalgia factor, you can't get rid of it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's also one of the ones that's really, off topic a little bit, what did you think about Billy Madison? Because I really liked Billy Madison.
Billy Madison is 1A to this. I just didn't want to have multiple Adam Sandler movies, but Billy Madison is 1A to this. Like, and when I grew up, most people were in either camp. Like, either you thought Happy Gilmore was the funniest movie or Billy Madison, but they were really close.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I like this. I feel like we have a good competition going. But
it's going to be tough to get a 5.
Well, I've made some notes, and I think we might have a couple that are, kind of, close.
Okay, I think early, you tell me what are your faves on my list, and I'll tell you what are my faves on yours.
Okay, I'm just gonna read you what I've noted.
Okay.
Nacho Libre is one on yours that I really, really like.
Yeah.
And Life.
Yes, good options.
I've got Waiting for Guffman and Forgetting Sarah Marshall that you liked.
Waiting for Guffman is like my biggest miss. Yeah, well, I'm like, I can't believe I didn't select that. So yeah.
So we've got
Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I can be argued as number 5 for me.
Oh, all right. Well, let's do it.
What else could be in your 5th place?
So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, but I don't know what the 5th's going to be. So in my 5th place on your list, I did like Office Space. I think Nacho Libre I really like. I like Forgetting Sarah Marshall at 5.
Let's put it Forgetting Sarah Marshall at 5. But you have to. How do you feel about Office Space?
I'm going to say, and I think this speaks a lot, I don't feel anything about Office Space.
Oh, and people should know.
Sarah's
funny, never really had an office job.
True.
You know? I think that's important to say, right? You don't know the boring mundane of the 9 to 5 in an office and cubicles, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe not Office Space. How do you feel about Nacho Libre?
I really like that. But I don't want to put one of yours at the bottom.
What's 5 right now?
Mine. Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
I'm okay with Nacho Libre at 4, if you are.
Yeah.
Okay, Nacho Libre is 4.
Okay. Number 3.
Give me your option for 3.
Well, here's the issue. We need another one on the table. We've only got 4. So I think we both can probably agree on one. We've got Life and we've got Waiting for Guffman. We need one more to add to the mix of what's going to make our combined 5. Does that make sense?
Add 2 more, because I'll add 1 more and you add 1 more.
Okay. This is tough. Wedding Crashers, Elf. Bridesmaids, duh. You like Bridesmaids. You're not a bigot. You like women, right?
I do love Bridesmaids, and I think I'm okay with it being at 3. As long as I have a spot for Life.
Yeah, you do. Because I really think Life is hilarious.
I'm okay with Bridesmaids at 3 if you are.
I am too. Look at us. We're doing so good.
And...
You ready?
And I guess that makes Bridesmaids 2.
No, Bridesmaids
Life 2. Life at 2.
Yeah, Life at 2. Are you okay with this?
I am.
I feel like I'm winning.
No, as long as Life is up there.
But you like Waiting for Guffman enough for it to be 1?
I do. I can have Happy Gilmore forego being on the top 5 if that's the decision we have to make. 'Cause
I know you
Waiting for
can't read
Guffman is that
Guffman, but
good.
I like this. I think we did a good job.
Recap for us.
Okay,
Sarah.
so we've got number 5, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Number 4, Nacho Libre, which is Save Me a Piece of That Corn.
Yes. I've had
Wait, let's see
diarrhea
if we
from
can
thirst.
let's see if we can do a quote from all of them.
Okay.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I think he says, well, fuck me, right?
Yeah, let's see. Both of us get a quote, but you
Okay.
can't use the other person's. Mine is, did you have a chance to check it out? Oh, I was going to, but I just went on living my life. I
Yeah.
fucking hate it.
All right, well, fuck me, right? Number 4, we have Nacho Libre, which the quotables I remember from seeing this one time are, save me a piece of that corn, and where's the flavor? Because someone stole the chips
Yes.
that they put on top of something, and they're like,
Yes.
where's the flavor?
Yes.
I say it all the time.
My favorite, well, not my favorite, but just a unique quote is Ramsey is the big wrestler that Nacho Libre wants to be like. And he meets him and gets disrespected. And he said, I used to look up to Ramsey, but turns out he's a real douche. That's probably the best.
Asaad, you say that to me all the time. You're being a real douche.
He's a real douche.
Bridesmaids at number 3. Do we have a quote from Bridesmaids? Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess I already hit it, which was Stove. What kind of a name is Stove? Are you an appliance? It's Steve. It's actually Steve.
Which I think was ad-lib. It probably definitely
Oh,
was
100%.
ad-lib.
And when, I don't know the quote, but when Melissa McCarthy took like 10 puppies home from the party, Rose Byrne was giving out like these golden retriever puppies as gifts at the bridal shower. And Melissa McCarthy's like, I'm not gonna lie, I got like 10 of these fuckers in the back of my van. Her character is so good. Can you think of a quote from Bridesmaids? This is
because
fun.
Rose Byrne's my favorite. I think it was ad-lib. She was crying. She says, you look ugly when you're crying. She says, no, I don't.
No, I don't.
No, I don't.
No, I don't. They're in the car, and she's crying. She's like, you look hideous. And you're just like, no, I don't. I'm
No, I
beautiful.
don't.
I'm so beautiful. She nailed that. Oh, man, that was such
She's
good.
so good.
And Ellie Kemper playing the, like, wanting to be, like, Disney princess
Yeah.
girl. It's like,
Yeah.
oh. Okay, Life. I gotta let you go first with your quote.
Well, there's a lot I can go here, but I think this is problematic. But when they try to steal the pie, and the lady says, "How about I turn you into a nigga pie?"
You gotta come up with a better quote than that. Only because the only quote I remember from that is when he goes, they're like, it's whites only pie, and because they've got money now, right? They're out, and they like go to this diner, and they're like, no, you can't sit here.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
so funny. Okay, number 1, Waiting for Guffman. I already gave my favorite quote, but I'll give another one. I got a million of them. Just drive in, get a Coke if you're thirsty.
Definitely ad-lib too.
All of that whole movie is.
Yeah. My favorite quote from there has actually made an appearance on our pod, which is, "You fuck my wife."
I think it's a Bull Durham. I think it's from the play Bull. Is that correct?
I don't know. I haven't
Movie
seen Bull Durham.
Bull
I'm too
Durham, and he's
real.
doing a monologue from it, and it's intercut with all of these people doing just like weird talent showy things. There's like a girl doing belly dancing, and someone juggling, and someone like just like spitting ping pong balls out of their
Yeah,
mouth, and
chokes
then
on
you've
it.
got this kind of like old white man who doesn't really say much, and he's got a big belly, and he just goes up, and he's like, "You fuck my wife," and then they cut to Corky, who's Christopher Guest, the guy who we were talking about as the kind of the lead, and he's very effeminate. And it just cuts to a really close up of his face, and he's like, "You fuck my wife," and he goes, what a great movie that is, and it just holds up. I can watch it over and over and over again. Okay, so to recap quickly, we've got number 1, Waiting for Guffman, number 2, Life, number 3, Bridesmaids, number 4, Nacho Libre, and Forgetting Sarah
This
Marshall.
is actually a pretty good list because
It's diverse, right?
Yeah, I dig it, man.
did a
I
good
dig it.
job.
I
Got a little
thought we
bit
were
of you.
scrapping about something. For us not having any of the similar movies on our top 5, we agreed quite a bit on
Very
that.
well, yes.
Yeah.
Hit us with your top 5s,
Yeah.
and again, don't be precious about it. Just throw 5 of your favorite movies in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And I think that's it for us.
Let's get out of here.
We'll be back very soon. Tune in next time. Bye, guys.